Hello everyone, this is part 7 of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Sith Lord, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Tenton was strong. Always had been since she was a young girl, and constantly showing a female wasn't helpless like so many guys thought the gender was in terms of the natural order of things. She trained with weapons when most girls played with dolls. When girls her age dreamed of flowers, ponies, and other girly things, Tenton had practiced with all the weapons her tiny hands could get their hands on. The girl had wanted to be a shinobi ever since she heard the stories about Senjutsu decimating her enemies, and Tenton had built herself up to be strong like one of the guys to do it. Unfortunately, at this moment in time, Tenton was not being strong, and currently crying out in pain from the assault on her body by her master. Why? Because she had not fallen completely in line like the others. That if given a true honest to calmly chance of escaping the will of her master, Tenton would take it, and sell him down the river to his enemies. It was deep within her mind, as she had done everything to keep it hidden from Darth Sage, and his power to read her mind. I'm disappointed in you, Tenton. How many times must I continue to hurt you or order one of your fellow tools to do it in my place? How much longer must I wait until you finally decide to submit to my will? Said Darth Sage, seeing the girl struggling to get up from his attack of Sith lightning he hit her with. I have my principles, my integrity. The others may not be strong enough to fight your dark will, but I am that strong, and won't break under any circumstances, said Tenton, as she saw Haku come up behind their master, and stayed silent until the Sith turned his head slightly face to look at the ice user. You really think I won't throw you away, Tenton? I can, and I will if there isn't a change in your attitude. I can easily wipe your mind and make you enter a whore at a brothel upon selling you to one. I can crush your entirely body beyond repair, throw you into a hospital my company owns, and bury your identity under so much paperwork that not even Jiraiya of the Sannin's infamous spy network could find your location. I am making you become more powerful than you ever could be in the Leaf, make your potential shine to the point where Senjutsu herself would acknowledge you, and be impressed by your skills in the shinobi arts. To think, you would throw it all I have given you away on those very same principles, and integrity to not submit to me. Yes, Haku, said Darth Sage, turning his head to see his first tool bow her head at him submissively. Sage-sama, the others are ready to move out on your orders, said Haku, as she knew the girl in front of them on the ground wasn't to be trusted to know things, and thus kept the location of their master's destination from her. Thank you, Haku. It seems Tenton has yet to understand her role in being a tool for me to use how I see fit. Remind her, said Darth Sage before turning to leave and walked out of the room while Haku cracked her hands in preparation in carrying out his will. Rice Country. Karen, Lee, and Yugito followed Darth Sage through the thick forest area with the Sith walking with a powerful stride that told them he was heading to Sound with a purpose. That all who stood in his path would be destroyed and no one was going to stand in his way of getting whatever he desired. They traveled via carriage to the border between Fire and Rice Country before taking the rest of the way on foot without so much as a pause on where to go. How much farther, Sage-sama? Said Karen, as she followed right behind the Sith, and the boy stopped when reaching a hill area that looked down at a small town. We've arrived, said Darth Sage with the three behind him looking where he was at the sight of the town below. This doesn't look like a shinobi village. It's too small, said Lee before hearing the cruel chuckle of his master. Your eyes are being deceived, my friend. The true Sound village is buried underneath it, said Darth Sage while looking at Karen using her sensory powers on the area. I sense them. So many shinobi below with different chakra signatures ranging from Genin to Junin, with two of them being the strongest in a separate area, said Karen, as she saw one was flickering, and the body of that individual seemed to be unhealthy. That's where our target is. First, we find our way below, and then take what is mine, said Darth Sage while heading down the hill into the town. And everyone else, said Yugito, though she had an idea of what he was going to say next. Wipe 'em out. All of them, said Darth Sage, as he didn't want weak things under his command, and only wanted the best to serve under his rule. If only he were a few years older. You would have one hell of a mate there, kitten, said Nibby with Yugito sputtering internally at that. Are you crazy, Nibby? How can you even consider the two of us being like that? thought Yugito with the nibby just laughing slightly. What? Are you saying that the idea isn't appealing? He's strong, handsome, and in a few years will no doubt wish to seek the pleasures of the female flesh. Something you have like all the others girls here, and yet if you play your cards right could be alpha female of the whole pack. Said Nibby while Yugito shook her head no. You make it sound like sleeping with Sage Sama provides a sense of security, thought Yugito, knowing that wouldn't be the case with the Sith. It can. All you have to do is play your cards right. Besides, even if it's just for a short time of rutting in the sack, I doubt the union would be unpleasant for either party, and at least you can say it was with someone strong, said Nibby, knowing countless weaker humans had wanted to bed Yugito for bragging rights and all of them had their things burned almost beyond repair. I'm not hearing this. I don't want to hear this, thought Yugito, not trying to picture the two of them going at it like animals in heat. Stop being so prude. At least think about it, kitten. You do have a few years at most before such a thing is possible. At least I think you have a few years, said Nibby while Yugito raised an eyebrow at the cat demon. And what does that mean? Thought Yugito with the Nibby looking a bit guilty. I may have done something to your body, said Nibby with Yugito now looking at the demon cat with fear and anger. What did you do, Nibby? Thought Yugito with the Nibby looking away again. It wasn't intentional, kitten. It's just, well, I'm going to go into my heat cycle soon and the thing since I'm sealed in you, said Nibby with Yugito's eyes widening and blushing at the same time. No. Wait. So you're telling me I'm going to be going through your heat cycle and need to lay in bed with some random guy? Thought Yugito, seeing Nibby grin at her. Well, it's not random if you choose Darth Sage before the heat cycle kicks in, said Nibby with Yugito looking furious at the demon cat. You're making it sound like I'm going to jump him whether he's the only guy around at the time, thought Yugito with Nibby nodding. That's because the heat cycle only has you seek out only the strongest of males to mate with and who could be stronger than the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, said Nibby while Yugito was getting angrier by the second. How long do I have? Thought Yugito, seeing the Nibby think for a second. A few years, just like I said. Though you will need to explain this to your stud of a future mate before it happens, said Nibby while Yugito blushed further. He's not my future mate. Thought Yugito while Nibby just laughed at her red-faced expression. Not yet, kitten. The heat cycle hasn't kicked in yet, said Nibby while Yugito was now mentally cursing the demon cat out. Yugito. Focus on the here and now, said Darth Sage while picking up the woman's cursing at the Nibby for whatever reason and needed the former Kumo Kunoiki to do her job. Yes, Sage-sama, said Yugito, as she had followed him into the secret entrance leading underground, helping to kill sound shinobi around them in a quiet and stealthy manner. Elsewhere underground, Yakushi Kabuto was working on his current patient Kaguya Kimimaro when he felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end and old instincts honed from years of training told him something was wrong. Very wrong. After the failed invasion attempt of the Leaf by Orochimaru, things had not been going well for the medic Nin, as the Sound Four were either dead by execution, or enslaved to Suna as the Kazekige's servants. Well, more like servants, since only one of the four became one to the Kazekige's children, and by the man's children Kabuto heard Sabaku no Gara was given the red-haired foul-mouthed Tayuya. Something is wrong, thought Kabuto, as he went to the security monitors hooked to the camera in the base, and found them slowly being destroyed one by one. Just when the shadows of something appeared on the security monitor, it went to static, and instantly put the man on edge. Looking over at the sedated Kimimaro, the medic Nin knew the albino wasn't capable of fighting in his current sickly condition, and decided to simply cut his losses before they became too much. Orochimaru did it all the time, so why couldn't Kabuto do it himself? Running to the door, Kabuto stopped when he sensed the chakra signatures of the intruders, surprised that they go here quickly, and wondered just who they were. Leaping back, the heavy metal door in front of Kabuto bent, buckled under the strain of something incredibly strong, yet invisible power, and was surprised to see a cloaked boy with an outstretched hand making the door bend to his will. Walking into the room, the figure was followed by three others, all of them Kabuto knew from the Chunin exams, and realized this was the infamous Darth Sage responsible for pilfering the shinobi from the Leaf along with other shinobi villages during the second part of the exams. I'm here for him, said Darth Sage, getting to the point while looking at Kimimaro on the table. Really? I'm surprised. Considering Kimimaro's time in this world is so short right now, I was expecting you were here for me since I'm much younger, and healthier than he is at the moment, said Kabuto while adjusting his glasses. You assumed incorrectly. I care nothing for someone such as yourself, said Darth Sage, as he knew where this one's loyalties lied, and knew the man would not hesitate to betray him for greater power. An old Sith habit from what Plagueis has taught him allowed succession between master and apprentice, though the blonde didn't like that kind of habit in the slightest. Shame. If that's your position, then I'll just have to kill you, and then study your corpse to further my medical research, said Kabuto while the Sith just smirked. You can try. Yugito, deal with him, said Darth Sage, knowing she would be perfect for this. Yes, Sage Sama, said Yugito, taking a few steps forward. Sending your subordinate to handle me yourself. Perhaps you aren't as strong as you make others lead on, said Kabuto tauntingly at the Sith. No, I'm much stronger. It's your own strength that I find to be insignificant to mine. Even unleashing Yugito here on you would be considered cruel from a certain point of view, said Darth Sage, as he walked around them, and towards Kimimaro. Kabuto tried to interfere, but a wall of dark blue fire made the man take a step back, and look at Yugito hissing at him like a cat. It was then the medic Nin realized she was the Nibi Jinchuriki from Kumo, and this was the power of the demon cat inside of her. Yugito surrounded them both in a complete circle of the dark flame while Lee and Karen stayed back to keep any other sound shinobi from coming to the room. You think your powers can beat me, little Neko? I was Orochimaru's right hand while in sound. I was the second strongest shinobi only compared to the Sannin himself. What hope do you have against me? Said Kabuto with Yugito snarling at him. You'd be surprised what this, little Neko, can do with this kind of power, fool. Said Yugito, as she charged forward, and Kabuto did the same with chakra scalpels on his hands. While those two fought, Darth Sage stood over the sedated figure before him, and saw the upper part of the albino's face covered in a cloth with seals on it. The cloth itself had wires connected to it, and the wires traveled to a monitoring system that gave feedback on the Kaguya's life signs. Who is there? Said Kimimaro weakly, as he could hear the faint sounds of fighting in the background, and sensed a presence by his side that he didn't recognize. Your new master, said Darth Sage with the albino tensing with what he sensed was anger. I have only one master, and it's Orochimaru-sama, said Kimimaro with conviction in his voice despite sounding so weak from the sedation. Your master is dead. Has been for some time now. Didn't Kabuto tell you? Said Darth Sage, as the screams coming from the man with glasses could be heard behind the Sith, and knew Yugito was tearing into his flesh. And enjoying it. You lie. Said Kimimaro with anger laced into his tired voice. The Kazekage did it himself after Orochimaru's invasion attempt on Konoha failed. I am here to collect you to serve me, said Darth Sage, seeing the man shaking in front of him on the table. I serve only one master, and you are not him, said Kimimaro while the Sith shook his head. Your master is dead. Without someone strong like myself, you will have no purpose in life, but to slowly die, and it will be alone without anyone here to remotely support you, said Darth Sage, seeing the life signs of the albino beeping erratically in front of him. You cannot help me. No one can now. My physical condition is deteriorating quickly and there is no cure for my illness, said Kimimaro before he began coughing and blood came out of his mouth. Normal medical means perhaps, but you don't know of the force and the power of the dark side, said Darth Sage before putting his hand on the albino's chest. Focusing on the man's condition, the Sith used the force to locate the source of what was causing Kimimaro's illness, and discovered the albino's lungs were filled with multiple spots of cancer. Very aggressive from what Darth Sage could sense, as it was eating the Kaguya up from the inside, and most likely live for another few months tops before it destroyed the man. Seeing how the condition was greatly advanced, even the force itself may not have the power to reverse the damage done, but the force combined with the Kyuubi's own chakra could be strong enough to fight this cancer, and purge it from the albino's pair of lungs. Turning to see Kabuto on his last leg, in a quite the literal sense, with Yugito ripping off his other limbs while burning his flesh to prevent death by blood loss, and was moving in for the kill. Narrowing his eyes in thought, the Sith formed a plan in his head, as he used the force to part a small gap of the demonic fire, and pulled Kabuto towards him. Yugito and Kabuto were both surprised by this move since neither expected the Sith to interfere in their fight. For Kabuto, he thought the Sith had changed his mind, and decided to spare the medic Nin's life. However, that all changed for Kabuto when he felt his mind being invaded, and drained of all its medical knowledge down to the slightest detail. Throwing Kabuto back, Darth Sage ignored cries of pain, and pleading for mercy the medic Nin was once more calling out for while Yugito continued unleashing her wrath upon him. With the slowly dying man's information in his head, the Sith knew everything about Kimimaro's current status with the disease, the day he showed signs of it, and that Orochimaru had intended to let the poor albino die once Kabuto reported no cure could be found. If there was one thing Darth Sage didn't tolerate was the waste of incredible potential and hated those that did. In a way, he adopted the coveting ways of his master, and keeping those around him alive because they were like a rare treasure worth preserving. I feel strange, said Kimimaro, as he felt his body was being burned alive from within, and tried to move his body from the pain he felt. I'm healing you, Kimimaro. Endure it, said Darth Sage, as he used both energies in a powerful purging process, which was designed to be painful, yet effective in the end result, and heard the albino scream out in unimaginable pain while this happened. When it was over, the Sith staggered back in exhaustion at using so much of his 2 of his 3 given energies had taken a toll on him and he needed a moment to collect his thoughts. The lung cancer was indeed a powerful disease, not easily to purge like he first thought, as it had multiple clumps in the pair of breathing organs, and Darth Sage knew the man wouldn't be so lucky had he waited 2 months longer. I can breathe clearly. I don't feel the urge to cough anymore, said Kimimaro, as he slowly rose from the table, finding the sedatives in his body were also purged along with his disease, and removed the cloth on his face to see the Sith responsible for it. I want you in perfect form, Kimimaro-san. I can't do that if you're ill and sedated now, can I? Said Darth Sage, seeing Kimimaro take deep, slow breaths, and then get on his knees before bowing to the Sith. Thank you for saving me from this disease, my master. I will do everything in my power to carry out your will. I am yours to command, said Kimimaro, as he could think of no other way to pay back the Sith, than to show the same fanatical loyalty Orochimaru had received, and direct it to this robed figure before him. The name of your new master is Darth Sage and he commands you to rise, said Darth Sage, seeing the albino stand quickly at attention and ready to obey any command given by the Sith. Command me, said Kimimaro with eagerness to prove his newly rediscovered strength to his new master. Follow me. We're leaving Sound. With Kabuto dead and you under my command, this place will tear itself apart, said Darth Sage, knowing without leadership, a place like this could be fighting internally for several years, and cause eyes from the different villages to look in this general area for a short time. While Darth Sage himself was making other moves from the shadows. Konoha at the moment. After much time spent searching, I have finally decided on a possible Hokage for the Leaf to succeed the Sandaime Hokage, and become the Godaime Hokage. One I trust not to lighter about the important matters concerning the village, along with reminding you all that I am the only reason that there is not a war going on between Konoha and the other villages after that debacle during the Chunin exams, said the Fire Daimyo to the councils and clan heads, seeing them all humbly nod at his words. Meaning we will have to keep our noses clean for a long while, thought everyone in the room sitting in their respective seats. Now the new Hokage of Konoha, who I trust to keep you all in line, and not cause me so much trouble, will be Sarutobi Asuma, said the Fire Daimyo, seeing the Hokage's chair turn around to reveal the Junin sitting in it. Another Sarutobi. How irritating, thought Danzo while keeping his anger in check. Unlike his father and predecessor, I have informed him that any major action done by this village must be brought to my full attention before anything is done, said the Fire Daimyo, seeing the group in the room humbly nod in obedience. I will not be like my father and make the same mistakes, Daimyo-sama, said Asuma, having hated being the Hokage in his father's place, but the Fire Daimyo gave him little choice, and was the only way to keep the Sarutobi clan name from being smeared in a village that had experienced smearing things that didn't deserve it. I would think not. Led as you see fit, Godaime Hokage, said the Fire Daimyo, as he left with his samurai escort, and hoping this wasn't a mistake to have another Sarutobi in office. What is thy bidding, my master? Thought Darth Sage, as he knelt within his mind before the Sith Lord sitting on the dark throne, and awaited the moon's commands. I sense a disturbance in the Force. Konoha has appointed a new Hokage sooner than we expected, said Darth Plagueis while seeing his apprentice stiffen at this news. I was busy with my recent mission into Sound to have sensed it, my master. Who is the current Hokage of the Leaf? Thought Darth Sage, sensing the moon was not pleased with his lack of sensing this change. His name is Sarutobi Asuma. The Sandaime Hokage's own son, said Darth Plagueis while his apprentice's power spiked at the mentioning of the last name. With him in power, the lockdown on the village will soon be released, if not already, and the Leaf will double their efforts to track me down, thought Darth Sage with his master in full agreement. I sense they already have. During the lockdown, Suna has been getting more clients, and the Wind Daimyo has been redirecting missions back to them instead of Konoha. They are acting out like a wild injured animal seeking the blood of the one that spilled theirs. Be mindful, they will not show you mercy, and will do everything in their power to make you suffer, said Plagueis, warned from his own unique experiences in seeing such crazed animals throughout the galaxy act in that manner and not all of them instinct-driven. I will prepare for them, my master, thought Darth Sage before fading from his mind. Refocusing on the outside world, the second Sith apprentice of Darth Plagueis the Wise stopped walking with his now 4 bodyguards back to Whirlpool, and the others obeyed without command. Reaching out with the Force, Darth Sage sensed they were not alone, and quickly drew his sword. Lunar Eclipse. Sage-sama, said Lee, as he saw Karen tense up beside him, and quickly drew his katana sword from his back. We have company, said Darth Sage before the group was surrounded by Leaf Shinobi with the kanji for root on their masks. Leaf Shinobi. But, how did they find us so fast? Said Karen while looking at them all with their weapons drawn. They are agents of Danzo. After the lockdown was lifted, he must have had those that were out of the village be informed of our location, and ordered them to intercept us until reinforcements could arrive, said Darth Sage while Kimimaro glared angrily at them. By the order of Shimura Danzo, you will all surrender to us, and then be subjected to thorough interrogation upon our return to Konoha, said the leader of the squad. And if we refuse, said Lee, seeing them all prepare for a fight, then everyone in your group with the exception of the 2 Jinchuriki will die, said the same Root Shinobi while Darth Sage merely chuckled. Fool. Just like your master, Kimimaro, said Darth Sage before turning his head slightly towards the albino. Yes, Sage-sama, said Kimimaro, ready for orders. I think it's time we test out your newly restored strength. Unleash the fury your clan is still well known for upon your new master's enemies, said Darth Sage while the Root Shinobi around them spanning no more than 15 total shift slightly to the albino. Yes, my master, said Kimimaro, as he brought out bones from the limbs of his body, and charged forward with the intention of crushing the Sith's enemies. The group of Root Shinobi were overwhelmed by the Kaguya's assault, as they were now divided between containing their targets to fighting Kimimaro, and couldn't do both when their numbers dwindled down. One tried to make a run for it, but Darth Sage threw Lunar Eclipse at the fleeing Root Ninja, and took his head off before recalling the weapon back through the Force. Looking around him, the Sith could see the area stained in blood, his newly acquired tool showered in the crimson liquid, and further proved the albino was indeed what he was looking for in terms of a deadly weapon of a subordinate. Impressive, Kimimaro. Most impressive, said Darth Sage, as he sheathed his sword, and then clapped at his tool's effectiveness in battle. Thank you, master, said Kimimaro, bowing his head at the Sith. Come. We have to go before more of them arrive, said Darth Sage, knowing they had wasted enough time hurting Konoha. For now anyway. Konoha Hokage's office. No, Dad. You can't, said Asuma, as he saw his father being the stubborn old man the newly made Godime Hokage knew he was, and hated these meetings. It must be done. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki has to be captured, and I am the only one in the Leaf capable of training an elite team to fight him, said the former Sandaime Hokage of Konoha. Enough. We are on thin ice with the Fire Daimyo right now, and this idea you've been pitching to me ever since I became Hokage is not helping. The Fire Daimyo doesn't want us going after Naruto at all, and he won't change his mind anytime soon, said Asuma with the older Sarutobi looking furiously at him. That boy is the property of the Leaf. Every day he breathes outside of this village is an insult to me and Konoha, said Hiruzen angrily while glaring at his son for denying his request. Shut up and listen to yourself for once, Dad. I know why you're acting this way regarding Naruto, and it's certainly not because he's village property, like you keep saying he is. We both know you blame him for Mom's death, but it was not his fault, and doesn't deserve any of your contempt, said Asuma, seeing his father getting angrier by the second. He, along with every single one of those Uzumakis, deserve all of it. We brought the last one here from Whirlpool, protected her, allowed that bitch to be with my successor, and have his child with this damn boy she brought into this world. She repaid my kindness for being allowed to breathe by siring a child that betrayed this village. Betrayed me, said Hiruzen with a somewhat crazy look in his eyes that Asuma didn't like. Sure, he was sad his mother died. What son wasn't? But the fact remained, Naruto didn't kill her, and even the Kyuubi ironically enough was innocent in the matter since none of its chakra was detected around her upon retrieving the body. To Asuma, it seemed his father had decided to blame both Naruto and Kyuubi for the one death neither could claim the right to doing in the first place. You betrayed him, Kushina, and every other member of that bloodline first dad. What did you think was going to happen when he discovered the truth behind your own selfish actions? Something you seem to forget. That boy is a living, breathing person, Dad, and if you oppose me on this I will have you executed for treason, said Asuma, seeing the crazy look in his father's eyes spike slightly when hearing this. You would order my execution? Me, your own father, said Hiruzen, seeing Asuma's eyes harden at the challenge issued. You keep following this path and you're not my father anymore. Just another person in this village lower than trash that have no choice but to call my father, said Asuma while the former Hokage just sneered at him. This isn't over, said Hiruzen before leaving the room while his son let out a tired sigh. You know what the saddest thing about that is, Dad? You are absolutely right, said Asuma bitterly, knowing this wouldn't be over for a long time. Whirlpool sometime later. Welcome to your new home, Kimimaro. I'm sorry it doesn't look like much, but since we just moved in not that long ago, it looks better than it did before, and I plan to continue making improvements in the years to come, said Darth Sage, showing Kimimaro his mother's homeland and the long way it had to go before it could be restored to the great place he knew it had once been. I'll help in any way to speed up the process, Sage Sama, said Kimimaro, as he saw the Sith smirk, and nod his head in acceptance to that offer. I'll hold you to that, Kimimaro. Now, let's see if we can get you some new clothes, and meet the others that have joined me, said Darth Sage before removing some rubble with the Force to reveal a secret underground passageway underneath the destroyed land. Welcome home, Sage Sama, said Haku, as she greeted her master, and then noticed Kimimaro behind him with shocked wide eyes. I know you, said Kimimaro in shock at seeing the girl once more. Really? You know Kimimaro? How so, Haku? Said Darth Sage curiously at them. We met briefly when I was still a little girl traveling with Zabuza. He thought we were enemies, but shortly after seeing my eyes, Kimimaro realized that wasn't true, and ran away from us to go wherever he was heading, said Haku, seeing Kimimaro nod. It's true. Strange how we find ourselves meeting again and serving a common master, said Kimimaro with Haku nodding in agreement. You can catch up later. For now, a shower for our group, and of course new clothing for the newest edition are in order, said Darth Sage, knowing they could all use one after being in sound. Several hours later. What is the next step in your plans, Sage Sama? Said Suzumbachi, as she wanted to be involved in them this time, and prove useful to him. I'm glad you asked, my dear, as I have questions about Iwa, and right now only you can answer them for me, said Darth Sage, as he saw her surprise, and was eager to help. What questions, Master? Said Suzumbachi, with the others keeping their ears open and paying attention to this conversation. Tell me about Iwa and its Jinchuriki, said Darth Sage while seeing the woman wince at him, knowing he wasn't going to like it. Iwa's two Jinchuriki, said Suzumbachi nervously while the Sith just nodded. Yes, tell me about them. What are their lives like in Iwa? How they are treated? Tell me everything, said Darth Sage, seeing the bee-using woman now fidgeting nervously in his presence instead of answering. Sage Sama asked you a question, bitch. Answer him, said Kimimaro with a raised voice at the former Iwa Kunoichi before the Sith raised a hand to calm the albino down. Enough, Kimimaro. It's clear Suzumbachi is hesitant to tell me, not out of disrespect, but my reaction to what she wants to tell me, and what I hear will not be pleasant. Am I right, my dear? Said Darth Sage, seeing the woman nod submissively. I would never answer out of disrespect to you, Sage Sama, but Iwa has. Well, they haven't been kind to their two Jinchuriki, and they don't like being mistreated either. They have both been trained harshly to be weapons of Iwa, hated by the people there, and yet forced to do the bidding of the third Tsuchikage, said Suzumbachi sadly while her master's dark presence became even darker. I see. The names, said Darth Sage, wanting to have a name to each of Iwa's Jinchuriki in Iwa. Han and Roshi, said Suzumbachi simply while the Sith just nodded in thought. Do you plan to rescue them from Iwa and have them join us, Master? Said Karen, seeing the young Sith apprentice of Darth Plagueis going into his deep thinking trance, before smiling again. Very perceptive, Karen. Yes, I do intend to free them from Iwa's cruelty, said Darth Sage with the red head blushing at his praise. But won't that make Iwa your enemy too, like Kumo and the Leaf? Said Haku, knowing the Tsuchikage wouldn't take this lying down. Of course, But let's face it, my dear, the shinobi villages act like spoiled children, and it's one of my goals to remind them of the order of things. The need to be reminded by us that you are not invincible despite what they believe in, and I intend to make that fact painfully clear, said Darth Sage, knowing that getting to Iwa would be difficult without a proper guide. There is also another matter I feel should be brought to your attention, Sage Sama, said Kimimaro, as he had overheard this information when Orochimaru was still alive, and felt this concerned the Sith too. About the Akatsuki. I know, said Darth Sage, much to the surprise of the albino. How? Said Kimimaro, surprised the Sith knew he was referring to the Akatsuki. Kabuto's mind. When I drained it for information, I learned he was once a spy for one of its members, but then became a loyal servant of Orochimaru, and that the Sannin himself was once a member. I also know they are hunting down Jinchuriki, but for what exactly still eludes me, and will require further inquiry, said Darth Sage, knowing he needed more info on the organization and what they need Jinchuriki for. How do we find out more? Said Hinata, knowing such an organization knew how to keep secrets. Simple, my dear. We find one or more of their higher-up members and make them tell us what we want to know, said Darth Sage, as he knew that those members would come to him, and it was simply a matter of time before such information was in his grasp. All he needed was a strong enough reason for them to act, and the Sith could think of nothing better than 4 Jinchuriki being in a single spot for them to pounce on. Akatsuki HQ. We have a lead, said Pain, with the others assembled around him that were the highest members of the organization. Yes, our informants have informed us that they sighted the QB Jinchuriki heading towards Iwa. Considering the boy's past success in recruiting shinobi from different villages to his side, it's possible he's going to Iwa in order to retrieve the 2 Jinchuriki, and further bolster his ranks, said Itachi while Pain considered this. If he does, it could pose a problem for us, as each Jinchuriki alone is easier to handle than all of them banding together, and further halt our progress, said Pain, as he did not like the idea of having his plans stalled, and by the QB Jinchuriki no less. We should stop him before that happens, said Conan, with Pain nodding in agreement. Yes, we should. Itachi. Kiss him. Intercept the QB Jinchuriki before he gets to Iwa and recruits the other 2, said Pain, seeing the 2 nod before heading out. There is still the matter of soon as Jinchuriki, said Sasori, knowing the boy would be among the first they grabbed. We will deal with him soon enough. The demons must be extracted in a certain order or what we are trying to do will fail, said Pain, seeing the others nod in acceptance to this face. The QB Jinchuriki shouldn't be like this. By all reports, the boy should be weak, stupid, and unable to think clearly, said Conan when she was alone with Pain to talk about this development in private. The only way a Jinchuriki that young can be so strong in such a short time is to have a teacher keep such a thing from happening, said Pain while Conan frowned in thought. But no one in the Leaf trained him, said Conan, which made Pain turn to face her, and saw his own frown. Then someone outside the Leaf did, and kept it hidden for so long before the Sandaime Hokage could figure out what was happening, said Pain simply. But who? Said Conan, with Pain wondering that too. Find out. Look over the information on the boy since his birth and see when any changes were made that would allow his mysterious teacher to reveal himself to the Jinchuriki, said Pain, knowing they had their spies monitoring the boy while he was in the Leaf and knew the QB vessel's life had been less than pleasant. If there was a connection, Pain would find it, then the teacher, and finally, the QB Jinchuriki. Gato Kanpani at the moment. The board of directors looked at the shadow clone of Darth Sage sitting in front of them at the head of the conference table, hearing the latest reports from each member, and how their new chairman's latest business strategy had doubled the company's profits. Wave Country was doing business with them without problems, the place slowly turning pro Gato Kanpani, and news of the recent power struggle growing within Rice Country was providing their items from the illegal side of the company make a great deal of profit. Mist was currently still fighting rebels, which currently had both being supplied their own weapons through illegal channels from the company, with the Mizukage paying up front, and the rebels being offered a long-term payment plan. Though whether the rebels actually won the war to pay them remained to be seen by the board of directors, who had first become hesitant to have such a plan in place for them, but Darth Sage had given the order, and had full confidence in them to beat the Mizukage. As for Snow Country, the current tyrant for a ruler named Doto was another powerful individual the Sith wished to do business with, and do a bit of trading with the man. Of course, the assigned business envoy Darth Sage sent a few days ago had yet to arrive in Snow Country and speak with the man. Of course, the Sith had no doubts that there was a chance the envoy sent would not return alive given the rumored nature of the tyrant, but if the envoy made it sound like trade between them was worth looking into, then perhaps the envoy would live to see another day outside of Snow Country, and report back good news. What news do we have on Fire Country? More importantly, our own representative in the Fire Daimyo's court, said Darth Sage, as he addressed Hibikigoro to rise and speak about their progress. Our representative in the Fire Daimyo's court has made some progress, but not enough to get the feudal lord's ear. His advisors are extremely picky about who they let near him, as they don't want the wrong kind of influence speaking into the daimyo's ear, and risk causing damage to Fire Country, said Goro, seeing the Sith nod in understanding. It's to be expected. The advisors of feudal lords are the guardians of in terms of the politics within the courts that the daimyos are in. So if we can't get the ears of the Fire Daimyo himself, we will get the ears of one, or more of his advisors instead. We gain control of the guardians of the politics so we can gain control of the daimyo himself and thus the entire country through shadowed rule, said Darth Sage, while the other directors of the board looked surprised by this. How do we do that, Sage Sama? Said a member of the board. Simple. Everyone has a vice of some sort. Find and gain proof of it. Then make sure the advisor knows we know about it. That we will exploit it unless my will is carried out in the Fire Daimyo's court, said Darth Sage, seeing them nod, knowing they had the money and resources for the job in finding those things out. Earth Country. Someone is here, Sage Sama, said Kimimaro on edge while his master nodded. I know. I've been expecting them for some time, said Darth Sage, as he sent out a low pulse of Kyuubi's chakra towards Iwa, knowing the two specific people would sense and pursue it if only out of curiosity. It's him, Han, said the figure in the trees. I know Roshi. Should we introduce ourselves? Said Han, seeing Roshi nod before they both landed on the ground. Identify yourselves, said Kimimaro, as he was prepared to defend his master, and saw the two Iwa shinobi stand side by side. I am Han, Jinchuriki of the five-tailed Gobi, said Han, taking a step forward and bowing slightly. I am Roshi, Jinchuriki of the four-tailed Yonbi, said Roshi, doing the same. I am Darth Sage, Dark Lord of the Sith and Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed Kyuubi, said Darth Sage, bowing his head slightly while gesturing for Kimimaro to introduce himself. I am Kaguya Kimimaro, last of the Kaguya clan and loyal servant to Darth Sage, said Kimimaro while keeping an eye on the two Iwa Jinchuriki. We've heard a lot about you, Darth Sage. Konoha has been cursing your name for some time after they learned what you did from under their very nose. I take it you are here to recruit us like you did the others at the Chunin exams, said Roshi, seeing the Sith just smirk behind his hood at the question. Yes. For one, you will not be treated harshly under my rule like Iwa has done since each of you had a demon sealed inside your body, and two, there is a looming threat aimed at all Jinchuriki, said Darth Sage, seeing both of them curious to this shadow of an enemy. What looming threat? Said Han, deciding to speak the question knowing the answer would give them a name to it. The Akatsuki organization, said Uchiha Itachi, appearing with Kisame now from the shadows. Uchiha Itachi. It's been some time. Joined the Akatsuki, I see, said Darth Sage while Han and Roshi went into defensive stances now aimed at the newcomers. I had no choice. I needed their protection from the leaf after I killed almost everyone in the Uchiha clan, said Itachi, seeing the Sith nod. Of course you did. It makes sense. Though you should also thank me as well, since my leaving Konoha after leaving my own mark redirected their attention away from hunting you down, said Darth Sage while Itachi did nod in agreement over that simple fact. True. You have my thanks, said Itachi with the Sith smirking even further. You're welcome, but as you well know, we are at opposite sides of things given what I am, and who you serve in connection to that fact. That is where our pleasantries between each other comes to an end, said Darth Sage, seeing the Uchiha nod while Kisame was grinning more and bringing out his sword. I can take off their legs, right Itachi? They don't really need them for what we have to do for the extraction, said Kisame while Itachi sighed. Darth Sage drew out Lunar Eclipse, and Kimimaro was now prepared to unleash his fury on the pair. Kisame, you idiot, said Itachi while activating his eyes. Kimimaro, deal with the blue-skinned one. The Uchiha is mine, said Darth Sage while the albino Kaguya just nodded and charged at Kisame with his spiked bone obtrusions out and ready to stain with the former seven swordsman of the Mist's blood. We'll fight beside you, said Roshi, stepping forward on the Sith's left side. Your enemy is our enemy too, said Han on Darth Sage's right. Thank you both for that offer, But this fight must be between Itachi and myself since we are both former residents of Konoha, said Darth Sage while Kimimaro off to the side was using his agility to dodge Kisam's sword. I will not go easy on you, Naruto, said Itachi drawing his own sword. I don't expect you to, Itachi. After all, you have your orders, said Darth Sage in a semi-mocking tone while Itachi's eyebrow twitched. So you know, said Itachi almost gratefully while seeing the Sith smirk at him. Difficult not to. You're projecting thoughts rather loudly and on purpose, said Darth Sage while Itachi moved forward and then the Sith did the same with their swords clashing. And surprisingly, Itachi's blade didn't get destroyed, or himself in the process. I thought you should know who I report to, and why, said Itachi calmly. Two clashed once more with their blades in their own dance of death. He's channeling his chakra into the sword to prevent it from being cut in half, said Kyuubi simply while the two tried to cut the other in half. Your skills are impressive. Whoever taught you was very skilled, said Itachi, as he was trying to have the boy slip up and reveal the name of his teacher. Thank you. I could say the same about yours, said Darth Sage, as he used Form IV Ataru to make things increasingly difficult for Itachi and his Sharingan eyes. So you know that too. Interesting. That was the one thought I wasn't projecting, said Itachi before grunting when the Sith sword nicked his leg. No, but it was there beneath your surface thoughts when you asked about my teacher, and the true source behind Uchiha Massacre's success, said Darth Sage while Itachi's eyes widened slightly at those words. I see. Since you've dug into my mind, allow me to return the favor, and dig into yours. Tsukuyomi, said Itachi, as there was only one way to find out the truth behind the mysterious teacher Naruto possessed, and Itachi would find it using his eyes. Tsukuyomi world. This is my world, Naruto. For the next 72 hours, you are mine to deal with as I see fit, and will know the way of pain by my hands, said Itachi, as he had his sword in hand, and Naruto put on a cross to be stabbed repeatedly since it was the most simple way to do things. I'm actually kind of flattered to know Uchiha Itachi would use his Sharingan in such a way to find out who my teacher was, and how he made me so powerful. For that, you can meet him, and he can teach you a few things, said Darth Sage looking behind the Uchiha and saw Plagueis appearing with a copy of Lunar Eclipse in hand. What are you? Said Itachi turning to see the spirit of the Sith Lord in this world and found himself unable to manipulate it upon the moon. I am Dark Lord of the Sith. My name is Darth Plagueis the Wise and you dear boy are not welcome here in my apprentice's mind, said Darth Plagueis while Itachi frowned at him. You are not human, said Itachi seeing the features of the Sith in front of him that while showed he was humanoid, was not of the human race, and yet was clearly a being one did not wish to cross. No. I just live in one to temporarily cheat death just long enough for me to pass on all of my knowledge and power to my apprentice here, said Darth Plagueis before he moved quickly and stabbed the Uchiha in the gut. Much to Itachi's surprise, he felt it. How is that possible? Said Itachi before Plagueis pulled out the weapon looked at him amused. This is my apprentice's mind. You really think just because you brought this illusionary world to life for a mere 72 standard hours that it was only yours to control during that time? How very presumptuous of you. Just like your clan before you killed them. You think my apprentice and I haven't considered he might meet again on hostile terms. If there is one thing my student does the most, is he never leaves anything to chance, and is prepared for such a possibility. We've been preparing for this day since he departed from Konoha. Kyuubi was most helpful, as he admitted to its power being used over him by Uchiha Madara on more than one occasion, and its many special abilities being a topic of discussion during my apprentice's travels throughout the elemental countries. This one in particular, I found to be the most interesting, and see why you would use it on my apprentice along with any other Jinchuriki you face in the future, said Plagueis, as he moved swiftly behind Itachi, and stabbed him in the back directly through the spine. This still shouldn't be possible, said Itachi, as he felt the stab, and the sword responsible being pulled out by the Sith Lord. Only to someone of weaker mind. Neither my apprentice or myself for that matter are under any such category. If the mind of the intended victim is stronger, then this world is not yours to command anymore, and for the next 72 standard hours you will become our student in the ways of pain. In the way of the Sith. Said Plagueis before freeing Darth Sage from the cross Itachi tied him to and made the Uchiha take several steps back. I need to stop this before it gets out of hand, thought Itachi, as he tried to cancel out the Genjutsu world, but found himself experiencing a powerful headache when an attempt was made, and it grew in strength each time the Uchiha tried to end it. You really think we'd let you leave? Fool. You leave when the time limit is up and not a second sooner, said Darth Sage, as he blasted Itachi with Sith lightning, and Itachi let out a scream of pain while Darth Plagueis watched his student attack the Uchiha without mercy before stopping after 5 minutes. So much to teach you and so little time. Don't worry though Uchiha Itachi, we will both teach you well with the time given, and know someone such as yourself will learn greatly from our lessons, said Darth Plagueis, as he used the force to systematically break one of Itachi's fingers at a time in each hand, and then moved up to the arms before focusing on the legs. So many ways to inflict pain, so little time. Real world. Kisame knew something was wrong the moment Itachi was sent flying back into a tree with a sickening thud and screaming out in unimaginable pain at whatever happened in the Genjutsu world of Tsukuyomi. It was clear the boy had done something to turn the tables on Itachi, and Kisame knew that the Uchiha needed to get out of here in order to inform Pain of what happened. Dodging a whip attack from Kimimaro's bone-like weapon made from his spine, which Kisame found to be completely gross, the swordsman flooded the area with water before grabbing Itachi, and made a tactical retreat. With the 2 Akatsuki members gone, the albino Kaguya kneeled before his master, begging for the Sith's forgiveness in not killing the former 7 swordsmen of the mist, and Darth Sage merely told Kimimaro it was all right. Don't worry my friend. You will have another chance at him in the future. Though next time I expect you to come out victorious via slaying your enemy and not forcing him to retreat due to other reasons, said Darth Sage in a friendly to scolding manner, which the albino nodded in acceptance, and knew the only true victory that could be accepted from the Sith was absolute one. I'll train hard for the upcoming battle my master, said Kimimaro while his master just nodded and turned to address the 2 Jinchuriki from Iwa. Those were just 2 members of the Akatsuki my friends. 2 among 9 and all of them are S-class missing nin with each one capable of disabling a Jinchuriki's powers. Iwa will not defend you, they don't have a reason care about your lives unless they need you for a war, and even then they will throw you away once it's over, said Darth Sage with the 2 Jinchuriki nodding at the fact they knew this was true. And if we join you? Said Han with the Sith smiling at them. I want my fellow Jinchuriki to be strong. Stronger than they ever could be while being domesticated by their villagers and hated for existing. Ironic really when they are the ones that made you into Jinchuriki in the first place, said Darth Sage with the 2 nodding in agreement. You will have to go after the others and no doubt they won't be so easy to grab, said Roshi with the Sith nodding. I know, but that's what makes it so exciting, and I hate being bored, said Darth Sage with a smile on his face. What do you think? Said Han seeing Roshi shrug. Following him beats living in Iwa and being treated like crap, said Roshi knowing at least with the Sith they won't be hated. I'm in, said Han knowing any place was better than Iwa at the moment. Me too, said Roshi not wanting to be in this area near Iwa any longer than necessary. Then follow me to your new home my friends. It's still under construction, but currently safe from prying eyes, and you will also meet the Nibi Jinchuriki formerly of Kumo there too, said Darth Sage while sensing the shock at what they just heard. I heard the various rumors of the Raikage being extremely upset at both the Leaf Village and yourself for the loss of his squad that entered the Chunin exams, said Han while the Sith just smirked behind his hood and nodded. Indeed he is. I took several of his so-called genin, who weren't really genin at all, and convinced them to join me after revealing a hidden secret behind the plan being created to learn the secrets of the Byakugan, said Darth Sage while both Jinchuriki behind him shook their heads at how stupid the cages of this world were acting in terms of their own selfish desires. When will people with incredible power realize there are some things not even they can have? Said Roshi with a sigh soon following. Such is the way of humanity my friends. People with incredible power want only one thing and that is more power. They don't know when to stop and they pay a heavy price for trying in the end, said Darth Sage while sensing his master within the depths of his mind scowling slightly at the involuntary jab at Plagueis if not all Sith before him. Though Plagueis ignored the hit in the end, as he knew his Sith apprentice was merely appealing to the 2 Jinchuriki, and further secure their loyalty. A good Sith tactic indeed when used properly. The thoughts on the matter ended sometime later when the group soon found themselves surrounded by Leaf Shinobi consisting of Yuhi Kurenai, Inazuka Hana, Hitaki Kakashi, Hyuga Neji, Maito Gai, and Aberrane Shino. Kurenai was glaring daggers at the young Sith for taking the girl she had seen as an adopted daughter and had a look in her eyes that promised to unleash a great deal of pain upon him. The others were more calm than anything, as they all knew keeping a cool head was key to the success of their mission, and returning safely home. Where's Hinata and Anko? Said Kurenai while spitting out the words venomously at the boy. Well, this is an interesting surprise. You must have run people over in the Leaf to see the new Hokage to request this mission of hunting me down for answers. I wonder now, what was it exactly that allowed you to convince him to sanction this mission, and hunt me down with such anger? Said Darth Sage in an almost mocking voice that made Kurenai become more infuriated by him at the innuendo. I'll ask you one more time before we force you to tell us where they are. Said Kurenai while the Kyuubi Jinchuriki just laughed at her. Even if you did make me reveal the location of my subordinates, they won't come back to the Leaf, Iwa, Grass, or Kumo if given the choice. They hate their former village and I can't say I blame them. Hinata was hated by her own clan for being supposedly weak and timid. You did little to help, except smothering her, and keeping the Hyuga girl stagnant instead of pushing Hinata to get stronger. Anko was hated for her past connection to the now late Orochimaru and still would be long after the Sannin's death. What kind of life is that for them? Said Darth Sage while Kurenai just got angrier. Surrender and the God-I'm Hokage promises to give you a fair trial, said Kakashi, as he had his Sharingan eye out, and saw the two Jinchuriki along with Kimimaro prepare to defend their master. I have heard it all before from the Sandaime Hokage when I was still a weak naive child. Hatake Kakashi. I am not interested in the Leaf's false promises. We both know Konoha speaks double talk very well when it comes to making deals with others, said Darth Sage while Kakashi narrowed his eyes at him. You should know your place and just submit, said Kakashi with the Sith just smiling at him. Really, I could say the same for you too. Tell Jiraiya of the Sannin to come out now. I know he's hiding behind us waiting to flank me, said Darth Sage with the Leaf Shinobi all tensing before Jiraiya finally appeared behind Han and Roshi with a scowl on his face. So you knew, said Jiraiya wondering how the boy sensed him. Wasn't hard. With this team here at my front, it was only natural you would be here too, and positioning yourself to strike when I'd least suspect it, said Darth Sage with a smile and heard Kimimaro switch positions to hold off Jiraiya should the Sannin attack. Regardless, you are outnumbered, have nowhere to go, and while the Hokage did order us to bring you back unharmed if possible, we are not hesitant in disobeying that last part to successfully bring your body back to the Leaf, said Jiraiya seeing the Sith smirk in his direction. Your arrogance blinds you, Jiraiya of the Sannin. Never assume you have the upper hand against a Sith. It can lead to your doom, said Darth Sage before he went, poof, right in front of them to reveal the boy they were talking to was in fact a shadow clone. With the others soon following to reveal Kimimaro, Han, and Roshi were shadow clone copies too. Damn that boy, said Kurenai, who was clearly pissed at being denied her much-desired revenge against Naruto, and knowing where to find their missing comrades. When did he teach them the shadow clone jutsu? Said Kakashi knowing such a jutsu was difficult to learn without the Sharingan. I don't know, but he clearly prepared for our arrival, and made all of us look like fools, said Jiraiya while cursing mentally over his inability to catch the boy off guard. We need a new plan, said Guy seeing the others nod in agreement. We need to find the exact location of Naruto's base and then strike when he's there, said Shino using logic to pinpoint their next plan of attack. Wouldn't it be at Gato Kanpani? Said Kurenai knowing that was the company Naruto was rumored to be running after taking it over from its previous chairman. Yes and no. He's there at times, but no one knows when, and there is no telling how long Naruto stays. We need the location of the base Naruto goes to when he's not there, said Jiraiya having a difficult time with his spy network knowing when that is since none of them were at a high enough level within the company to know these things. We could ask Suna for help, said Hana knowing Suna was their ally and could help in catching the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I doubt they'd do it, said Jiraiya with everyone looking at him now. What? Why? Said Kurenai knowing Suna should be helping them in this matter since they could have Shinobi stolen from them next. Because Gato Kanpani has been providing funding for Suna shortly after the Chunin exams ended and has helped them out more than the Wind Daimyo ever did. They aren't going to bite the massive hand that fed them a vast amount of wealth to get back on their feet, said Jiraiya having monitored some of the accounts of Gato Kanpani and saw a good chunk of money go to Suna. So Naruto has basically bought himself the support of Suna, said Kakashi to simplify the answer. Yeah. The Kazekage has gotten more clients after the Chunin exams than ever before, and with the money from Gato Kanpani along with more funding from a humbled Wind Daimyo, there is not a chance in hell of them ever backstabbing Naruto for his hand in all of it, said Jiraiya having suspected that Naruto visited the Kazekage prior to the Chunin exams to help put this in motion. Though how that happened, Jiraiya didn't know, and was still trying to figure out. Whirlpool Country Underground Base. Welcome to your new home. Like the others here before you have seen, it's not much right now, but the groundwork is underway to change that, and become your new home, said Darth Sage while showing him around and meeting the others. I had heard stories about the Uzumaki clan of Whirlpool. They were feared for their mastery of the sealing arts and their long-lasting lifespans, said Roshi while the Sith himself just nodded. It's my mother's homeland. She was the previous Kyuubi Jinchuriki before me and the Shodaime Hokage's own wife was one before her, said Darth Sage while Han and Roshi were shocked by this. Do you know that Iwa had nothing to do with Whirlpool's destruction? Said Han while the boy just nodded. I've known for a while. The leaf also spread lies of Iwa performing the deed and then make others believe it. They turned my mother's people into martyrs in order to gain the support of other places to fight Iwa in the last Shinobi War, calling all the people of your former village bloodthirsty murders, and anyone that sided with them, said Darth Sage having had several visions of the past via the Force and saw how the Sandaime Hokage conspired with Danzo to use this to their advantage during the war in hopes of spurring Konoha's Yellow Flash to cripple Iwa during the war. The Tsuchikage denied Iwa's involvement in that matter for years. He claimed the leaf was framing the village and that there wasn't a shred of proof to confirm it was true, said Roshi while Han nodded since they both heard it all before. Well, the Tsuchikage was right. Tsuzumbachi, said Darth Sage, which got the woman's attention, and the two Jinchuriki behind the Sith were partially surprised to see the former Iwa shinobi alive since Kuretsuki had claimed her teammate had been killed during the Chunin exams. Yes, Sage-sama, said Tsuzumbachi immediately appearing in front of him before she bowed in his presence. Show Han and Roshi to their rooms. Kimimaro, you will be sparring in taijutsu with Rock Lee, and I don't want either of you to stop until you're both on the ground too tired to lift a finger, said Darth Sage seeing Kimimaro nod. Yes, Sage-sama, said Kimimaro and Tsuzumbachi at the same time before they carried out his orders while the Sith himself went to visit his certain female ice user. Haku, how is Tenton's progress going? Said Darth Sage seeing Haku was watching Tenton with a critical eye and smiled happily at her master's return when she turned to face him. Better, Sage-sama. She was defiant at first, but I informed her of what Konoha did to its longtime ally of Whirlpool, and that siding with the leaf was siding with dishonorable traitors. Though I would still keep an eye on her just to ensure she doesn't get any idea of betraying you, said Haku knowing the girl didn't believe her at first, but the memory seal their master created from his own experience in discovering the truth for this before his departure had helped fill things in, and had shaken Tenton's loyalty to the leaf down to its very foundation. I will. We shall put the girl through one final test to prove her loyalty to me, said Darth Sage while Tenton spun her bow staff around to perform a dead strike. And should she fail? Said Haku already knowing the answer. Put Tenton down personally, Haku. End her. No fake death states like you did Zabuza while in his service to fool your enemies. No kind of paralysis. She betrays me and you kill her. No excuses. No hesitation. Am I clear? Said Darth Sage seeing the female ice user stiffen at the command and nodded all the same. Crystal clear, Sage-sama, said Haku obediently while the Sith nodded and left. What do you plan to do now, my apprentice? Said Darth Plagueis seeing the boy was planning something for his new enemies. The Akatsuki will hunt me down more than ever. They will also go after Suna's Sabaku no Gara too for his demon. We will leak information about the organization through our merchants in Suna and in Kumo to the cages of each village. Give them all a heads up. I will then go after the seven-tailed Jinchuriki in Taki and recruit her to my side like I did the others, thought Darth Sage while his master nodded in approval. What about the Mizukage in Mist? Said Kyuubi having looked at the bingo book with his vessel at the section under cages. He's lost to us. That much I have foreseen. As is the six-tailed Jinchuriki. He was taken after the rebels began fighting it out with the Mizukage's forces. Abducted by Madara himself while making it seem like he fled mists or other shinobi villages would look for him and keep them away from water country, thought Darth Sage while Kyuubi was now growling in anger. I'm looking forward to you killing him. Said Kyuubi, as the very name of the Uchiha infuriated the fox, and wanted the bastard to suffer. Me too, Kyuubi. Me too, thought Darth Sage while heading for his meditation chamber and focus himself on figuring out how to make his next move properly. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.